WDBFradio.com. WDBFradio.com. WDBFradio.com.
I saw this about, I don't know how long it's been going on. I look at estatesales.net or .com, whichever it is, periodically. It's like, Saturday mornings, I'm kind of busy, so I can't get up. I can't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning anyway. But to get to an estate sale, unless it's around the corner, it kind of cuts into the showtime, so we don't do it. Um, but now it looks like they're heading towards auction. I don't know anything about it other than that I see that every estate sale that we looked at this week and last week that was in Dade, Broward, or Palm Beach County, they were all going auction. Um, I want to hear more from Fran because obviously she's the expert. The only thing I can tell you about online auctions, and when I say online auctions, I'm talking about the kind that Fran, that Max Roback from Common Ground Finds, who I've been working with, for the last 4 or 5 months, does. If the auctions are anything like what Max is doing for us in books, man, it's got to be great. I mean, it's almost tempting. If you one day, maybe next week, I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see one of our walls. Um, and all we have on it. I'm looking at the wall now. There's everything from Huntley Palmer cookie tins to Weatherby lucite bullet blocks, Blukes, fossils, a couple of rare books, but what's on those shelves are my reference books. Then again, we're starting to part with them. If you know Place Pig Alley, or Pig Alley as they used to call it, we've got a couple of lighters from the 50s and all kinds of other stuff. So maybe we'll do our own online auction as an estate sale. I want to hear more about this. So more on this when we talk with Fran later in the program. That'll be in about 15 minutes or so. Um, Rare Book Hub. I don't think there's a show that ever goes by that I don't mention the Rare Book Hub. To quote their statistic now, if you subscribe to Rare Book Hub, you now have access to 15 million, that's with an M, rare book auction records. There's 15 million books that have been at auction. They log about 40 to 100 new auctions per week in the database. If you're in the rare book business, I don't have to explain what Rare Book Hub is. If you're new, then let me give you a brief show and tell. Rarebookhub.com. If you wind up with a shelf full, a house full of what we would call genuinely antiquarian books, older books that, although age has nothing to do with value, I'm using it illustratively. You have some gorgeous leather-bound books. You got a couple of books from the 16 or 1700s, or maybe you got a house full like that, and you inherited it. We average 100 new applications a week in vintage, rare, and antique books. I would say 35% of them are all inheritors. We got this, we got that. By the way, there's one guy that just joined that's opening or has a hotel in California that he wants to make a book themed hotel. I hope you're listening. I hope you contact me. Books and hotels. Wow. If there was ever a marriage made, I did it. So it's an interesting field, estate sales and so on. We'll be talking more about it. Rare Book Hub. Rarebookhub.com is a newsletter that you can get for free. If you wind up with that house or room full of books, you need the Rare Book Hub because those are actual auction prices that were paid, hopefully for matching the titles that you're trying to find out about. Yes, you can look them up for free on Adall, on Biblio, on Abe, on Via Libri, and it goes on and on. But when you look those prices up, there's multiple questions that I, as a seasoned book dealer, would be asking about the prices and learn from the experience. And I'll tell you what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see if the price is in line with all the other prices. And if not, why? Does the condition match? Does the edition match? Does this person have some kind of credential letters after their name? Like if they had FABA after their name, it would mean they belong to the Florida Book Dealers Association. If they had ABAA, it would be the Antiquarian Booksellers and all that other stuff. That simply means that they were vetted by a group of their peers and they got into this organization. And it is somewhat of a safety net, as long as that person doesn't go psychotic and start ripping off the world. But it's one of the things you want to do. You need to know the reputation of the person listing the book. Um, did the book sell at all? Was another question. Did the book sell at that price? Those are all questions that you probably can't get answered directly. But if you look at the same title on Rare Book Hub, it sold. It means that somebody put their hands up to get what they wanted. So we're going to be talking more about auctions and things. But if you are interested in learning, the Rare Book Hub newsletter is a phenomenal read and it's for free. And to subscribe to the Rare Book Hub, I think it costs around $1 a day. If you take a yearly subscription, it might be a little more than that. I think they went up recently. But you can also subscribe on trial subscriptions by the month or, whatever it is. You can make payments, during the course of a year. If you're in the business, it really is an important reference tool, more so if you are only going to be doing it once or twice. You really need to get an idea. You don't want to sell blind. So we'll be talking more about that. And another thing that's free if you like to read is called Art Daily, ART Daily. Art Daily is a great news read, covers everything from art to books to jewelry to whatever's going on in the world. And the next story that we're going to talk about is something from the Rare Book Hub newsletter. And it's something, while we have discussed it before, this is one of the most in depth descriptions that I have heard. And what is the topic? If I was going to make up a comical title for the topic, and it was dealing with a major library and its collections and the libraries having financial problems, the title of that paper would be To Accession or to Deaccession. And what are we talking about accessioning? Well, that's acquiring. Deaccessioning is removing that book from the collection. So this is the synopsis of the story, where it was, its current, so it's going on now, and how it might affect other institutions in other cities, states within the country. The Hebrew Union College was in Cincinnati. They are closed. Their library was used by scholars for decades and ages, but no more. The books are sitting on the shelves. They have, like any other institution or any other book dealer or any person today, unless you're a multi-gazillionaire, some financial stress. So what they wanted to do was sell some of the collection. I would say universities selling collections creates almost the same controversy as to break or not to break a plate book. And on both sides, there are people that will stand up courageously and outrageously and say, no, 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 don't do it. I sometimes wonder what those people would do in private. What's the story? The university doesn't have students anymore. So what's the library doing? They said, okay, we want to deaccession or sell some of the books in this rare Judaic collection. A committee decided to do it. People that opposed them. Eventually, the state attorney, isn't that fun? Get the state attorney involved. Let's not get political or anything, but the state attorney gets involved. And they put a halt to it. And then they started talking intellectually amongst each other. And they understood that there would be benefits to selling and to keeping some of it. I saw the article that outlined some of the points that will be in what is probably going to be 100-page legal document on how you can sell these books and turn the pages. Yeah, I think too much government is not good, especially in the rare book business. So, what are they saying? Well, you have to use the American Library Association rules and regulations regarding deaccessioning, whatever they might be. There has to be a committee of people that decide this, and you don't have free reign, and even though you own them and all that. So we're going to see what happens. It's really becoming a legal drama, and it will be interesting to see what precedents are set. Some of it sounds good, some of it sounds bad. I don't like restrictions when it comes to the book business. Um, the books are going to go into somebody's collection. Maybe they're not available to the public anymore. But then again, how many of these were actually hands on? And if you were looking at them, you were probably looking at the scans. I have problems with some of it. I think if a library owns these books, the other thing that's very interesting in this, and I should have said a little more about it, now I will, is an appraiser. I have seen people donate books, and I'm talking about major collections, hundreds of thousands, a couple of $1 million, to institutes, libraries, and so institutions, libraries, so on. Some of them just say, "Here's the books, do what you want with them." Others put restrictive codicils on it. One of the most amazing collections I ever appraised, the most amazing collection I ever appraised, was about $5 million, two collections, and the restrictive codicils went into perpetuity, and they protected the owner. The owner simply stated these books can never be sold, and if you no longer want them, then you return them to my current heirs at the time. I mean, I'll give you another example of, I've mentioned this a couple of times, but not frequently over the years. How an appraisal can get a lawyer, how a deaccession sale can possibly get the library in trouble with donors, even if they didn't leave a restrictive codicil. And I refer to the first volume one, number one of National Geographic magazine. It was at, I don't guess I shouldn't name it, but it is a certain college in this area. Um, they called me in, and said, "Steve, go through our rare book room and tell us what we don't need. Tell us, if there's anything there that, can fund a new building or something." So I went through. I saw volume one, number one of National Geographic. This was a long time ago. At that time, it was a $20,000 piece of material. Today, God, 5 grand. I was heartbroken the last time I had to look one up, and I saw what a price drop. But I got the book. I arranged for a client to buy it in California. Again, I was here in Miami. They were going to get together. We were going to get together the next day and, do the transactions via wire and all that. That night, I got a call from Sister Jean. Oh, well, I gave it away if you know who she is. Um, and she said, "We got a problem." And I said, "What?" It was almost funny. The donor that gave that book to the college like decades before, just by coincidence, is coming to the school tomorrow to, see everybody. And we don't want the book to be missing. Well, that was a $5,000 commission that went out the door. What can I tell you? So, anyway, we're going to be talking about accessioning and deaccessioning and things like that as more incidents like this come up. 888-575-4394 is our call-in number. If anybody has any comments on that, we'd love to hear from you on that or on anything else. I mean, I'm going to extend this cordial invitation one more time to the guy who has the hotel in California and wants to make it a book-themed hotel. Wow. I mean, you don't realize, maybe you do, the potential of what you've got going there, buddy. We got a couple of loose things in the next 20 seconds or so. Magic books and pamphlets at a recent auction kind of went through the roof, as magic books usually do. If you're curious about Cesar Romero's Joker costume in the original Batman series, costume went for 212. Avante Carlos went for 87K. The Batcave scanner went for 150K. Catwoman in Penguin's costume 68 and 46. The holster with the batarang 50K. Wonder Woman's costume 225K, and two of Fonzie's leather jackets 87 and 75,000. Jeannie's pink costume 42K. Now we'll be back with Fran Miller and all kinds of good stuff after these commercial words.
Now, here's Steve the Bookman Eisenstein.
Welcome back, book lovers. Got questions? Want some free publicity for your book business? Take out something to write with, take out something to write on, and copy down our call-in number, 888-575-4394. That's 888-575-4394. Now, don't put the pen down yet. This show is replayed Saturday today from 4 to 6 p.m. It's replayed Sunday from 8 to 10 a.m. and 3 to 5 p.m. That's all Eastern time. And Monday for the insomniacs, that's 1 through 3 a.m. If you are listening to us on a replay, don't use the number I just gave. But if you want to contact me off air, it is a landline. Yes, we still have one. 305-868-5515. That's 305-868-5515. Fran Miller is with us right now. I have known Fran for decades. Fran has been in the estate sale business for ages. She's been involved in some of the most phenomenal estates we have seen. And by hearing what she has to say, if you're in the estate sale business, not in the Dade, Broward, or Palm Beach areas, okay? And you're thinking about starting your own business, listen to what Fran has to say. She's very knowledgeable in this area. I'm going to bring you in a second, Fran. I just want to introduce one topic. After Fran gives us a little bio for the new listeners, I want to go right into the meat. At estatesales.net, in the last 2 weeks that I was looking at it, I don't look at it every week, but I have noticed almost everybody's going to auction. So what does that mean? No more 5 o'clock in the morning, etc. Fran Miller of BaronEstateSales.com. Welcome back to Bucks on the Bookshelf, my friend.
Thank you, Steve. I love being here.
I love having you. You're knowledgeable, you're user friendly, and you're just a great soul. Just a brief one, for the audience that is new. What got you started? What was the motivating factor that said, I want to do this? Because you've done one hell of a job at it.
Well, I was actually working a different job at the time for the state, and I needed to make more money. So I started going to auctions in Palm Beach and buying items for $1. This is just when eBay started. And I would turn around and sell them for $6 or $7, thought I was a millionaire. Because I was pulling in an extra 100 here and there, but having 2 kids, that money came in handy. And so I started doing garage sales on the weekends. And then a guy came up to me and said, "You absolutely have to start doing estate sales." And that's how it got started. And the first one I did was for the vice president of Sony from South America in the Falls area, which is a lovely area. I had absolutely no clue what I was doing. So, and at that time, I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have any of those things because we didn't use those things. We didn't have them. And I don't know how I got through it, but I managed. And that's how it all started.
And it's all word of mouth. Is it more word of mouth or advertising, Fran?
It's 100% word of mouth. Advertising, to this day, I don't advertise. I have built 11,000 clients. That's just all through word of mouth. And I actually got started, funny story, maybe not so funny at the time. I went to a house in Pinecrest, and for those that don't know, that's a pretty affluent area, to try and get a sale. And there was one woman who had had that whole area pretty much wrapped up, and she was a veteran. And she badmouthed me, but she badmouthed me on a recording. And they had it on their recording at home. So I went to interview, and I will say about myself, I do have the gift of gab. And I started talking to the people. I really liked them. We chatted, and they said, "You have to hear this." And I listened, and this woman was saying such bad things about me, and she really didn't even know me. Well, they weren't having it. So they said, "No, we're giving you the sale." Excuse me. So I got the sale, and that was the beginning of really my career in estate sales.
I'm going to tell you, you came, I didn't ever realize that, that end of it. I think that's the first time you've relayed that story. But you came in at the perfect time. Everybody that had been, like they ran their careers. You came in where there was a perfect need for someone like you, totally qualified, reputable and all that. Because all the old timers were leaving. I mean, I watched you grow, until we met, I watched you grow from a little bit of the distance, but it was obvious, and it's to be commended. One of the things I want to throw in, well, let's go to it, but I'm going to throw this in and we'll go back to it. I'm not the greatest on a computer. Everybody knows that. But I am a good observer, and although I can't press the buttons, once I see what's going on, and I had to analyze the action. Would you agree that Whatnot may be the new eBay? Yeah, okay, we're on the same page. So let's take it to what I promised everybody in the promo. It's not a secret, but how is this? We're not gonna have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning anymore. Is that correct?
I get up every day at 5.
No, I don't mean that. Edie gets up at 5 and she hasn't taught school for 30 years. Okay. I got a problem with 9:30. But what I'm trying to say is, okay, if online auctions is what they're advertising, does that mean you don't go to the house anymore?
Okay. Interesting subject. I've noticed the change taking place, especially this past year. Let me back that up a bit. I make my most money doing an in-house estate sale, by far. Because I'm able to communicate with my client, I'm able to do my sales. And a lot of it's impulse. But when I'm selling stuff from a $106 million home, which was my most expensive home I did several months ago, I'm going to push it person to person. I will not sell it at an auction. The auctions, I have a gallery in the Falls area. It's filled with high-end items. I have 3 auctioneers that come in every month before they do an auction. and they pick stuff from there, expensive stuff like Baccarat, Limoges, Lalique, artwork, whatever, jewelry. They come in and they put it at auction. That is my additional income. Okay. If it's a good auction, I might do very well. If it's not a good auction, I might bring in $500 to $1,000, which to me is not good, but it supplements my income every month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, there are certain auction houses that have a wonderful reputation, and they are few and far between. In particular, in the Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach area. But I could mention 3 of them that are, I'm not going to give the names, but they are incredibly reputable, honest people. They do very well. Very, very well. Everybody else is in the business now of starting an auction company, starting an estate sale company, and they're not doing well because they have no idea how much work goes into it.
So let me say it this way, or ask it this way. From what you know, do you see this becoming a trend?
It is a trend.
It is a trend. Okay. So, like, somebody has one of these auctions that's an estate sale. That means nobody's going to the house, and you're bidding on everything online, and that's it, correct?
Yes.
What do you hear in the grapevine, the results of it from I don't know if you're going to hear much from the sellers other than if, you happen to observe the auction, but I'm sure your local buyers and things might talk to you about it. Is it being received by the buyers?
When you are talking about, you call me up and say, Fran, I want you to come over to my house. I want to have a sale there. Or should I do an auction? Okay. When I go in and see a lot of furniture, it's not going to sell at auction.
Mm-hmm.
If it does, I might have a Holly Hunt sofa there or chair, which is a very expensive brand. I'm sorry, my dog is barking.
That's okay. My cat's meowing.
I might have a very expensive piece of furniture. It will never sell, maybe $200-300 at auction if we're lucky. In person, I might get $1,500 for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. But when we're talking jewelry that they want me to sell, when we're talking sterling flat or they want me to sell, another interesting thing, the sterling, I want you to remind me of because I'll forget, old age. Things like sculptures and artwork might do better at auction if the auctioneer has the clientele for it. So, I'm sorry, this is Dolly.
Hello, Dolly.
She's my
Gives me an idea for a musical.
She's my therapy dog. Aww. I'm actually her therapy dog.
It's mutual therapy. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, she's my rescue, my Newfie Doodle. I've tried to bring her to sales, but they don't buy anything. They just play with her.
That's it. Speaking of, what's the address of the store?
My address is in the Falls, and it's behind the new Outback. I mean, the new Publix and Outback at the Falls. It's 129. Hold on. 76 Southwest 89th Avenue. 12976 Southwest 89th Avenue.
And how can people reach you off air?
Off air, they can reach me through you, or they can reach me at Baron, Baron, Estate Sales.
Okay, and Baron Estate.
Facebook. They can reach me on Facebook under Fran Miller.
Oh, okay. And Baron Estate Sales is .com, right?
Yes.
.com, BaronEstateSales.com. Do you want to give out a phone number?
Sure, I would love to.
Go for it.
305-205-5028. 305-205-5028. And I buy things from people. If not furniture, I buy collectibles from people. And then I put it in my gallery. Ultimately, it might end up at auction. Like, perfect example. I did a condo, had 4 Chanel bags in there. I didn't get what I wanted at the condo forum because I couldn't get enough clientele in there, because at a condo, you have to do by appointment only.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, I'm not getting the high enough pricing. So I put them up at auction, and I did very well at auction.
I think, okay, but it's not your own auction. The people that are running these estate sales, that are doing auctions, or okay, or any, do you know, I didn't see who they were. I didn't even, I just kind of saw auction, auction, auction. Do you think it's going to catch? I mean, it's going, but it's never going to replace the in-person sale.
You're absolutely 100% correct. People love the interaction. They have to see it. They have to feel it. They want to know if they can get a better price. That's the main thing. I love the negotiating. I know how to price appropriately for negotiating. And I love my clients. So it's a social hour for them as well as buying.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we work, but it's, we're blessed, let's put it that way.
I do want to mention one other thing about the auctions. They can have up to 25 to 30% commission added on to the sale, plus the shipping. So you can end up paying, by the time you're done, for a $300 item, you could buy it at my sale. You're going to pay $500 if you buy it at auction.
I think there are kinks that are going to have to be worked out in that. We got to hit a commercial break. We'll be back with Fran Miller of BaronEstateSales.com, 305-205-5028, after the commercial word.
Has been involved in buying, selling, and appraisals of rare books since 1968. This show has been designed with making money for the listeners in mind. More people know the value of coins, stamps, objects of art, and collectibles they do not own than the values of the books in their home library shelves. Now, here's Steve the Bookman Eisenstein.
Welcome back, book lovers. We are talking about estate sales with the estate sale aficionado of Florida, and that's Fran Miller of BaronEstateSales.com. You can reach Fran in several ways. Take out something to write with, something to write on. If you want to see her shop, and we're going to talk about some of the things that are in there, her shop is 12976 Southwest 89th Avenue. That's near the Falls. That's out on Dixie Highway. If you're visiting in the area and you're heading towards the Keys, stop in and see Fran, and you won't be disappointed. You can also reach her at BaronEstateSales.com. BaronEstateSales.com, all one word as it spells, or the preferred method of communication, old school, talking human to human. And Fran has got actual intelligence. You won't be hearing any artificial intelligence. So it's 305-205-5028, 305-205-5028. And if you want to communicate with us right now, tell us about your business, ask some questions, 888-575-4394 is our call-in number. And I'm going to do a quick trivia contest. Let's see if anybody's got some juice on today, all right? The prize will be $25 in usable postage stamps that will defray the cost of shipping on a bunch of your letters. We picked up stamps, Fran. I think I told you about this. It's just unbelievable the amount. Oh, my cat just meowed. Um, so the question is, in the book, James Agee's A Death in the Family, there are 2 points of identification. I want you to tell me what the 2 points are. If you see James Agee's A Death in the Family in a first edition in a dust jacket, and you get all excited, don't get too excited yet. There's 2 points that have to be in that book. And for those of you who are new and don't know what points are, I'll give you an example of points in another book. In this hypothetical book, in the first edition, first printing, the price on the flap was $3.95. In the later edition, the price went up to $4.25. So the price, the lower price, identifies the true first printing, and the raised price represents later printings. That could also be something like a spelling mistake on line 5, page 5 was corrected in the second edition, but the mistake is in the first edition. Now you got a crash course in first editions. Fran, do you have, I know you can't mention names. I know how to ask the question. It's a tricky question, not tricky, but in your upcoming estate sales, do you have any thing that, like it's a phenomenal collection of this and that? Kind of like what we were talking about. I don't know if you saw the promo for the ad, but I used the picture of the Nobel Peace Prize. It was found in an estate sale. Doesn't matter what happened with it, but it was found. So is there anything coming up that you can talk about in highlighted items, or some of the highlights in the store right now?
I think mentioning the Nobel Prize, I did do a sale of a doctor who had invented a pacemaker. And he had the original ones that were huge. They were the size of a hockey puck.
Wow.
Down to what they are now. And he had them all in this huge attached garage, so to speak, that was all lighted. And he had all the pacemakers there, and he did win a Nobel Prize for something. I don't know, maybe medicine, who knows? I did have that there. That was the most exciting sale for me. The whole family was amazing. He had invented so many things, but seeing that pacemaker, that was exciting.
Did the pacemakers sell at the sale, or did they go to auction?
No, we weren't allowed to sell them.
Oh, wow. Okay,
But
yeah,
all
okay.
the clients came. A good weekend for me on 2 days is putting through about at least 300 clients in 2 days, and that's without pre-sales.
Wow.
And we put through at least 300, several of which wanted to see those things.
Wow.
And that, of course, brought me other sales. And when they knew how famous this guy was, they went ahead and bought something else from the house as a remembrance. As far as what's coming up in my sales, it's a very tough market right now. I have some incredible antiques in a 4-story house in Coconut Grove.
4 stories. Wow.
Yeah, 4 stories. The antiques are amazing. Will they sell in Miami? Doubtful. Very doubtful.
What do you think? I mean, what are we talking about? Or if by talking about it, you're going to, discuss, I understand you might not be able to detail this for obvious.
I can.
You can't. Okay, no, I understand. I know with you how to ask the question. So let's go on. What would you say to beginners? What kind of advice would you give to somebody that's starting to collect or starting to think about, well, people call me in for books all the time, and I've noticed that when they call me in for books, all the antiques in the house is still there. Can I turn that around into an estate sale? What would you say to somebody along those lines?
I get people that call me up that want to start estate sales.
Okay.
And I tell them, why don't you come to some of my estate sales? I want you to see what's involved. I'm an appraiser. So I have the advantage of saving some time when I go into like a 4-story home. I will use at least 1,000 stickers for pricing in that home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that right there is very time consuming. But I also know what some of the pricing should be. The rest, I have to research everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I say, come with me. I want you to see what you have to do. One of the things I tell people that want to go into this business, they all think it's fun. Well, as you know, it's tedious and fun. No, exciting at the beginning, yes, because it's an adventure and discovery is fun. Other than that, setting up, even with my crew that's been with me over 20 years and they know me like a book, they know how I work and how to set up, how to stage. So I let them come in. By the time they're done a day of walking through and seeing what's what, they decide maybe, well, this isn't as much fun as I thought. And I'm going to give you a perfect example of what I tell everybody going into this business. You have due diligence. And I know of somebody that actually had worked for me who decided to go into their own business and didn't know much. Sold a table to a collector who has made a living buying and selling items from estate sales and going to secondhand stores, but is a genius. To me, he's an absolute genius.
Does his first name begin with an L?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Let me tell you what happened. Yeah. He bought an old wood table out in the back of the house, small one. The table he bought for $200, whatever. She said, fine, $200, fine. She had no clue what it was. Well, I think it was signed by Stickley.
Oh, wow.
Top furniture manufacturer. The table sold online at auction, which is the only place you would sell something like that.
Yeah.
For $70,000, and he turned down an $80,000 offer. And that is the truth and could be researched even.
No, Gustav Stickley. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. And his knowledge, I mean, I've never met anyone with his vast wealth of knowledge. I mean, this guy was just amazing. He still is, I presume.
And his memory, he remembers everything he reads. He knows history. So I use him like I will be using him for my pricing for these antiques. Because I'm not good at pricing antiques. And I know if I'm not good, I'm paying somebody to come in. But that's an example of due diligence. And I tell everybody, if the owner of that house ever found out that her table sold for $70,000 and she got $200 minus a commission, so maybe she got $150 out of that, there'd be a big problem with the person who did the estate sale.
Well, let me ask you that, okay? As an appraiser, okay, I am creating a legal document, can be used in courts. If I create an improper legal document and it costs the client money, now I'm talking about in strictly an appraiser situation, I can have what they call in big words, a fiduciary liability, created by my lack of doing the right job. Put it simply, if I gave a bad appraisal and it cost somebody money and they wanted to sue me, there's a good chance a court would find in their favor if it was provable negligence, malfeasance, whatever it might be, ignorance, whatever. When you have a standard contract, I would presume, when you do estate sales. Is there anything in there that has you held harmless? Or, is there a potential for somebody in the estate sale business where you've got the contract and all the stipulations are made out? You do your due diligence and you sell it, but somehow it turns out that it went for much more money afterwards. Does your contract hold you harmless? Or where I'm going with this question?
Yeah. So my contract,
I'll tell you what, Fran, hold on a second. Before you answer that, we got to hit a hard break in 20 seconds. So let me make better use of that time and we can come back with it. If you want to reach Fran off air, you can reach her at 305 205 5028. 305 205 5028. Online, you can reach her at baronestatesales.com. And her shop is at the Falls. That's 12976 Southwest 89th Avenue in Miami near the Falls. We'll be back after these commercials.